So we're back on it. We are on day 2 in game and in real life of this game. This is Lookouts, which is an itch.io visual novel. If you didn't, I don't know why you would watch part 2 if you didn't watch part 1. But if you're just tuning into the stream, this is part 2 of this game. We're probably going to finish it today. It's only a 5 to 6 hour playtime, and I played for like 3.5 hours yesterday, but I only really played for like 2 hours, so we'll probably finish it. No, I feel you. I want to cut it super short every summer. Then I remember I hate my look with short hair. Yeah, I don't think I can do the bangs anymore that I used to do. I used to have like bangs basically for the past like all of college, like senior year of high school through the end of college. And then it wasn't until 2023 was my last haircut. So it's been 2 years. And I just, I don't think I can go back to having bangs and having them be super annoying and poking me in the fucking eye or getting like, oh no, I was a little bit sweaty. And so now my bangs are like, they're not flat. They're kind of stringy. So I look like I'm all dirty. You know what I mean? And then when the wind blows and it blows your hair and then you get like the part in the middle and it looks like you're a K-pop boy, and I just can't deal with it, man. I dealt with it for all of college, and when I think about going back to short hair, all I remember is the annoying parts of short hair. But it's the annoying parts of long hair that make me want to go back to short hair. I guess hair, just at the end of the day, hair is a little annoying. Buzzcut time then. I don't think I have a good enough head shape for Buzzcut. I'm going to be so real with you. I think people who go bald, the people who go bald or decide to completely shave their head, look best if they have either a really strong jawline, can grow facial hair, or just have like a really nice shaped head. You know what I mean? Now, if you don't have those things, I'm not saying you don't look good. I'm just covering my bases. I'm not saying you don't look good. I'm just saying those are typically people who are bald. It's like, oh, but they have a really big beard, or oh, but they have really strong facial features. You know what I mean? Or oh, but they have like a nice like whatever. I feel like I don't, and I don't like. I can grow facial hair, but I'm Asian, and I don't like how it looks. So it's either hair or bust. I don't know. Maybe I'll feel different when I'm older, as if I'm not already old. I'm fucking 30. I should be making that decision already. Anyway, um, where's the music? Where's the sound? I can't hear anything. Can you hear the game? I don't see anything. What? 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 Okay. 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 All right. We're restarting the game. We're restarting the game. 1 second. This is annoying. Something's wrong. I didn't change. You know what? I did change stuff. You know how we were talking about I should get like a Mac Studio or a Mac Mini or something? And I was like, yeah, I really could because I never unplugged my computer. Well, last night I decided to play Isaac in my bed, and I unplugged my computer, and now nothing is working. I had to reconnect my camera, I had to reconnect my microphone, I had to reset up the audio on the game. I'm not sure what's happening here. Oh, I can hear it. I can hear it. I can hear it. I hear the crickets. Oh my god. Game. Okay. Load. I think there's no sound right now. Okay, so the audio is working. I think where we are in the game, there's just no sound. So we're just gonna rock with it for a minute. Hopefully the sound comes back and we can hear stuff. I'm just gonna because I heard the title screen crickets from the campfire at the beginning of the game, but now there's nothing. So I think it's just where we are in the game. Okay. I'm trying to remember what voices I used. It wasn't the red morning sun, now risen just above the horizon, that had woken you up. Nor was it the gentle, slumbering breath of Joseph against your neck, doing its best to lull you back to sleep. What woke you wasn't even the familiar crick at the base of your tail from sleeping on the bedroll, a stiffness you couldn't wait to stretch out. It was your thoughts, all the thoughts in your mind, like so many wild horses running of what may come next, what you both had to do. The nights spent on a lookout were better than the sleepless nights back at camp, but you still dreaded the dawn that came after. At least you had Joseph this time. At least you had him for what was to come, you hoped. You could feel one big wing of his wrapped around your stomach, shifting as he started to wake too now. As much as you wanted to keep lying here with him, just for a few more minutes, you knew you had to get up. Coffee wouldn't brew itself. You peeled back the blanket as little as you could to let yourself escape, gingerly untucking Joseph's fingers from your side. Sliding off the bedroll and through the dirt, you let Joseph's arm down gently. Crouching low on your knees, you gave his hand a gentle squeeze, feeling the soft, dry, dusty feathers beneath your fingertips, holding this moment in your head that it might stay there. You stood up, dusting yourself off everywhere you could. Time to get ready. Even with Joseph here, your morning routine was mostly the same, just doubled, you suppose. Feed and water the horses. Feed and water the horse. Horses, both of them. Make a pot of coffee, double the amount still, though. Let it brew for a little longer, too, on the same I'm stuttering so much today. On the same fire as you'd used last night together. You kept thinking while the coffee boiled. There were many things you didn't have time to think about yet. Even so, unimportant thoughts still rose. An unimportant thought that kept bubbling up was how nice it was to not have the usual knot in your stomach. The tightness that twisted every time at camp when you had to get food or a drink, to use the same tools in the same space as the others. It was nice not to have to worry right now, you thought, about sharing this. Joseph wouldn't complain about having to get coffee from the same pot as you. He wouldn't get angry that you were handling his stuff. Could it have always been this easy? Your stomach rumbling snapped you from your thoughts. Of course, you'd forgotten breakfast. You went back to your bag and unwrapped some salted pork, holding it between your teeth and tearing a chunk off. You always liked how chewy it was when you weren't in a rush. The rhythm of your jaw grinding it up helped you think. Possibilities were rolling around in your mind, dice cast along the branches of a tree. How things might play out. Although you couldn't keep it to yourself. Now, for better or worse, this was about the two of you. There was both weight and comfort in that thought. As you watched the pot start to boil and steam, you heard the sound of sleepy shuffling, turning to see a waking Joseph. He was propped up on one elbow, blearily trying to figure out what was in front of him, rubbing his eyes with one winged hand. You saw his pupils contract to the morning sun that was getting brighter and brighter, focusing on you. Good morning, partner. Is that the sweet smell of coffee I smell brewing? Not sure I'd call it sweet. He looked into the pot at the dark brown, tar-like substance, regretting the large snoutful you got from its acrid, bitter scent. Well, the idea's sweet to me, at least. Stuff's damn near magic far I'm concerned. With surprising energy for someone who had just woken up, Joseph whipped the blanket off of him, standing and dusting himself off. You watched still as he stretched. His fingers locked together, wings pushed and pulled in front and behind, the way the feathers of his neck parted and ruffled as he rolled his head around his shoulders. The hem of his shirt, usually tucked in but now loose after a night's sleep, rising ever so slightly as he twisted his body. He sighed as he finished, wings on his hips, and met eyes with you. What are you looking at? Nothing. A shy smirk crept across his face as he tucked his shirt back in and walked over to you. What you eating? Salt pork? There's some in my bag if you want. I think I will. Thank you kindly. Can you get some cups too? This coffee looks about done. You looked behind you at Joseph, crouched as he dug into your bag, giving you a quick thumbs up. You turned to the pot again and stirred it with the spoon a little. Joseph came back round and sat beside you, setting 2 tin cups on the ground with one hand, his beak tore into a piece of jerky in his other hand, hungrily swallowing it down after a few chews. He picked up the pot and poured you both a hot cup, eagerly tapping his cup with yours before drinking. Cheers. You both sipped quietly. You could feel the heat of the coffee traveling all the way down your gullet, burning in your belly. How'd you sleep? Good. Like a pup. Didn't wake once. Me too. Slept better than even at that hotel I stayed in one time. I swear the sheets in that bed were the softest darn thing I've ever touched. Sounds nice. It was. Last night was nicer, mind you. Another silence between you now. Likely you were both thinking the same thing, thinking about last night, what you talked about. Silence, because if neither of you spoke, maybe nothing would happen. Maybe the world would stop turning and the sun would stop rising. Of course, it still does. You can see it charting its course away from one horizon to the next. So, what's our plan? Joseph shuffled a little, legs restless. We kill Curly Wolf and Black Vulture. That's what we said, right? You nod. Maybe we don't have to. We could just run away. We talked about that, Joseph. If we run, we'll spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. We'll never really be safe. Yeah, you're right. Besides, have you never thought about it? Of course I have. It's not that simple, though. Everyone around him is loyal. It'd be hard to even get the chance. Even if I killed him, I wouldn't get away with my life. Even when I've thought about it. Thought about the ideal world where he's got a bullet in his brain and I'm home free. There's nothing after, Robin. I could never see what would happen in the rest of my life. It was blank. Just a desert. If you were to kill him now, what do you see? Joseph looked ahead, thinking. The feathers on his face fluttered in the wind. Something, I suppose. Not nothing, at least. I think maybe I can trust that. Are we really going to be able to kill them, though? I don't know. They bleed and die like anyone else. It's just hard to get a chance. At some point, our gangs are going to clemency and take us with them, whether we like it or not. I think we should try to use that to our advantage. Unfamiliar place, for them all at least. What about everyone in town? They shouldn't have to be involved with this. They're already involved. We can't change that. I just wonder if any of them would help us. I doubt it. Do you think? You looked at Joseph and he turned to look at you too, his brow furrowed. Sheriff? You felt a cold dread wash over you, even in the heat of the morning sun. Nah, I don't think Sheriff wants anything to do with us. We'd be dead before we even crossed the town line, remember? I know. It's just, there was something about it, Sheriff was, when we were told to leave. I don't know if I fully believed it. Sorry, Joseph. I think that's just wishful thinking. Hey, you listen to me now. I ain't making it up. His voice was suddenly sterner, the timidness that had been in his voice now gone. I'm telling you, Sheriff, I don't think Sheriff wanted to tell us to leave. There was something far too sad about it. You saw it too, right? I'm not imagining it. He thought back. It had hurt too much to dwell on it, but now you thought about it. Now you thought about it, you had to agree. It wasn't like other times when you'd be exiled or barred from places. There was anger, but there was also frustration, disappointment. That wasn't normal. You might be right. Even so, I don't think we can go waltzing back into clemency and expect Sheriff to welcome us with open arms. We still don't even have a plan. I think we need to talk to Sheriff. Even if we don't have a plan, Sheriff needs to know what's coming. Yeah, you're just don't know how. We need to get to Sheriff without being seen, ideally. I don't want to risk getting shot, however unlikely. Without being seen. You set your coffee down, getting up and walking to the edge of the cliff. You didn't need binoculars to see the shape of the town from up here, how the land moved and shallowed down toward the buildings. You looked along the cliff in the opposite direction to where you'd gone yesterday. Hey, Joseph, I think if we ride our horses this way, we could maybe get to town from the back. Sheriff's office is at the back of the town there. If we surrender ourselves, we might get to talk to Sheriff. Joseph got up from where he was and walked over to you, looking along the cliff where you were pointing, sipping his coffee. Yeah, that could work. What, not a fan of the idea? No, we can do that. This coffee is just mighty vile. He held the cup over the edge and tipped it upside down, the brown sludge falling into the sand below. Let's get going. We don't have much time, for both of us will need to head back to our gangs. Yeah, of course. He took one last look along the cliff face, then started helping Joseph clear up the camp, making haste to get on your horse. You rode as quick as you could down the cliff face, taking a long route around the back of the town. Climbing off your horse, you tied them up out of sight behind a rocky outcropping. You started your cautious walk to the edge of the town together, cautious about being spotted. Sheriff's office was right in front of you, the squat building backing up onto this side of the desert. 2 square windows were cut into his face of the building, holes in the frame from where bars once were. As you got closer, you listened out for anything that might tell you where Sheriff was. The rhythmic tapping of wood carried on the wind to you from the front porch. Carefully, you and Joseph sidled up to the building. Sticking close to the side, you shuffled along the stone wall, cold in the shade. At the end, you slowly peeked your head out, squinting through the morning sun. Sheriff was sitting on the porch outside, looking out into the town, cane tapping idly on the wooden boards. You hadn't been noticed yet. You pulled your head back and nodded to Joseph, him nodding back in turn. You both drew your guns, backs to the walls, and called out, "Sheriff?" You hear the panicked shuffling of someone getting out of their chair and the cocking of a gun. "Who goes there?" "It's us, Sheriff. Joseph and Robin. We mean you no harm." As you heard Sheriff's footsteps coming towards you around the corner, you both put your hands up, guns hanging limply by the fingertips. You stepped back from the building and out of the shade as Sheriff came to face you, a gun loosely pointed in your direction. "What am I looking at here? Why are you back? Are you surrendering?" "Yeah, kinda, Sheriff. We need to talk. For real this time." "Oh, yeah? I'm supposed to believe any collywobble you say now, am I?" "No, we know we betrayed your trust. We lied to you about why we were here, but we didn't lie about the danger to the town. We're asking you for a chance to explain ourselves." Sheriff's brow was furrowed. You could see that even under the tough and scaled skin, a few moments of silence passed between you. Sheriff holstered the gun slowly and calmly, the click of it, uncocking, letting you breathe freely again. "Come into the office, then, if we have things to discuss." You gave each other a look of relief as Sheriff turned to walk back. You put your guns away as well and followed the lizard round. The office was darker inside than yesterday, the morning sun not quite shining in the same way. Sheriff stood with both hands on the cane, face curious and stern, still untrusting. "So, boys, what do you need to talk about?" You looked at Joseph and he met your eyes. They were darting about in the small way they do, even when you're focusing on a point. He gave you a little wink. That was all you needed. "Yesterday, when we told you about those outlaws heading here, that wasn't a lie. I guess it was a white lie. Our gangs know about this place, and they're going to be coming here, gold or not. So, you were scouting our town out. Makes sense. Still, I don't see what's stopping you from lying about this town. You both know we can't do much to defend ourselves from a whole gang. So frankly, if I'm picking up what you're putting down and you don't want to hurt us, then just lie to them. Tell them we're armed to the teeth. Scare them off. They won't be stupid enough to still try. I guess we could, but what? Look, I appreciate you trying to come clean and help somehow, but this isn't our business, you see. It's not one gang. It's two. I'm from the Curly Wolf gang, and I'm from the Black Vultures. You're from two different gangs? Well, I'll be damned. You seem so friendly with each other. The thing is, Sheriff, we don't want to work for him anymore. Curly Wolf and Black Vulture, we want to kill him. We need each other's help to do that. Can't do it alone, see? Your heart was beating fast in your chest. Saying it out loud, saying it to Sheriff, changed things. Before you could convince yourself otherwise, you took Joseph's hand in yours, squeezing it tight as you stood next to him. Yeah, besides, there's no guarantee we'd be able to convince him not to come here, even if we did lie to him. We need your help too, Sheriff. Sheriff's face remained stern, or maybe concerned, you thought, eyebrows flat across the eyes, thinking, you boys are sure about this? This is what you have to do? Yes. Yeah. Joseph's hand moved, ensuring the grip of his fingers interlocked with yours. Shh. Getting a little old for things like this, but I can't in good conscience endanger the people in this town, but I think I may be able to help. Sheriff got up, started pacing. So you're two gangs. They're both gonna come here? Yeah, I know Curly Wolf will for sure. Black Vulture is bored. I can tell. He's itching to do something. Any history between them? Any scuffles? Would they fight or make a truce if they met? Black Vulture said before he'd fight Curly Wolf, but I don't know if Curly even knows he exists. Curly Wolf wouldn't work with another gang unless he had to. I don't think he'd give up this place so easily. Seems to me that them meeting up would be beneficial to your goals, don't you agree? A fight between them would be chaotic, but maybe that's what we need. Someone might even finish them off for us. It would be dangerous for us, though, too. Well now, hold on. When do the lookouts get caught in the scuffle? Almost never, unless we start it. If anything, we should be the safest ones of the bunch. You're right. If you can delay their arrivals, then I might have a solution for you. Clemency gets supplies monthly. They arrive by train about a day and a half's ride from here. That's where the nearest station is. Since it's a whole town supplies and the trip is long, everyone in Clemency goes in a wagon together. Easiest and safest for all of us. As luck would have it, that's in 3 days. So the town will be completely empty. Not a soul. I can guarantee that. We ride early in the morning and ain't back till the next day. You get your gangs here on that day and do what you need to do. Best I can come up with on short notice. That could work. Not like we have any other plan, and anything could happen, but it's better than nothing. Things were happening so fast. Sheriff really wanted to help. This was incredible. Was this really happening? Was this something you could do? 3 days, right? We need to both be here in 3 days. Yep. Do you think you can handle that? I think we can. Joseph looked at you, both of you holding each other's hands tighter. We have to. Good. And thank you for trusting me with this. You took a real gamble coming back here. No, thank you, Sheriff. Really and truly. I hope to see you again when this is over. God willing, you'll make good on that promise. For sure. And I think we both need to get going now. We'll be expected back today. Yeah, we need to start riding soon. Godspeed, then, both of you. Keep yourself safe. Keep yourself safe. You felt sick to your stomach and light on your feet. You nodded at Sheriff and left, still holding Joseph's hand. Back with your horses, you made last-minute checks of your bags, ensuring everything was secure for the long trip back. 3 days from now, you'd be back. Both of you. Some part of you dreaded needing to start this journey, lingering on the feeling of standing here, not moving. So much had changed since you got here. Now you might be risking it all. It doesn't feel fair, the idea of losing something you only just found, only just to get the chance for. Only just got the chance for. You shoved it down, though. The ride back was long. You didn't need that kind of worry gnawing at your heart. Pity for you that every time you saw his face, even a glance as you checked your saddle, it all came rising to the top once more. Like a drowning man pushed under the waves, breaching the surface again as he refuses to sink. I think I'm all ready. Me too. Joseph stood by your side now, waiting for you to turn and look at him. You contemplated just getting in the saddle, not lingering for longer than you had to. You felt the light touch of his hand on your shoulder. Twisting, pressing your face now over his shoulder, arms clinging around his side, you were holding him before you could think. Whoa! It's not a kiss, but it's pretty good. Joseph said nothing. He did nothing, too, for a moment until you felt the weight of his arms on your back, tightly clinging to you. Your hand took a great fistful of his clothes between your fingers where they lay, and as you held him tighter, he squeezed you even more. You wouldn't care right now if he squeezed you hard enough to break a rib. Feathers on his neck tickled your face and poked your closed eye. You could feel the way his back bent as he leaned ever so slightly over you. You don't know how long the hug lasted, but eventually you let go. You could feel imprints on your skin from where the hardness of his clothes, his buttons, his belt had dug into you. Still, you didn't mind. He held you still, facing each other, holding each other's arms, looking at each other. Joseph's eyes flickered around your face and to the top of your head, holding his gaze there for a moment before leaning in. You felt the gentle prod of his beak on your scalp, the sharp edges tugging at your fur. He preened through a few more times, pulling gently and spitting the loose hairs to the side. Done, he pulled back, his face a little sheepish. There, that's better. Need to look your best when you go back. Thought your mama said it was impolite to use your beak, Well, she's not here. Sides, I think you fit the, criteria. Thank you. Your cheeks were hot and flushed with what felt like all the blood in your body. You were sure you could see the same under his feathers. I'll see you in 3 days, yeah? Yeah. We'll kill those bastards. Yeah. You nodded. His hands trailed your arms as he walked away to his horse. He got up in your saddle, too, the reins familiar in your hand. Joseph trotted his horse up alongside you, facing the opposite way. Well, partner, time to go. Wait, Joseph, just promise me. If something goes wrong, you'll run. Promise? Killing them isn't worth it if you die too. If you run, I run. They ain't worth the effort of dying. He smiled at him with the same type of smile as when you left home. Weak and worn, but relieved all the same. Goodbye, Robin. See you soon, Joseph. You both started your horses moving, gently trotting until you were no longer beside each other. You heard Joseph give a "Kah!" and his horse set off at speed, kicking up dust into the air when you looked behind you. You set your own horse into a gallop, the rush of the wind in your ears as you rode through and out of Clemency, back to your gang. Back to the man you were plotting to kill. This reminds me of that episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog, where Kitty and Bunny, Courage goes into the city, and in like the downtown rough like gang crime area, I think a hotel room, he meets Kitty and Bunny, who are wearing masks, and they are a lesbian couple who are running away from an abusive ex-boyfriend, a Doberman. If you've never seen that episode, it's probably one of the best Courage the Cowardly Dog episodes of all time. And Courage the Cowardly Dog is one of the greatest cartoons ever made. It's good. It's funny. It inspired a lot of people. It like nurtured that love for horror media and storytelling through that medium. And that episode is one of the best. And this kind of reminds me of that type of story, in a weird way. Anyway, the midday sun hung harsh and bright in the skies. You made it back to camp, you and your horse both tired from the ride. The current hideout of Curly Wolf and Company was a ramshackle affair, nestled in the depths of rolling hills, hidden from the sight of any passerby. Riding slowly in, you climbed off your horse onto the sun-baked ground and led it over to tie it up with the others. The smell of food wafted, but you could see people cleaning up already. You'd missed lunch. As you made to leave the horse, a sudden thought struck you, and you doubled back to scramble about in your bag. Where was it? You hadn't left it behind, surely. A trickle of panic that had started to leak into your chest thankfully stopped as your fingers felt the soft brush of what you were looking for. You pulled the feather Joseph gave you out of your bag, holding it closely to yourself. You let a short gasp of a sigh. Oi, tomboy! Your ears pricked up as you stood up straight at the sound of Curly Wolf shouting at you. You hastily tucked the feather away in your pocket. Oh shit, he's big! You turned and made your way over to Curly, eyes down at the ground, avoiding the looks of the others. You know how things work around here, don't you, tomboy? Yes. Curly grabbed a handful of your poncho, pulling you forward, stumbling before roughly shoving you off your feet onto your back. You'd learned how to take a fall by now. You didn't scramble. You just let yourself lay in the dirt for a moment, waiting. Get up. You pressed your hand to the ground and got up, not too fast and not too slow. The others still got a laugh out of this routine, but you were too bored of it to be embarrassed anymore. If you know how things work, then I shouldn't have to punish you for not doing what you're told. When you come back, you come straight to me with what you found. You don't stand around playing with your little horsey. Yes, boss. Right. Come on then, spit it out. I found the town. A place called Clemency. It's got some gold from mines, but no bank or anything like that. What would you say now? If Curly knew Sheriff was the only person there who even resembled a lawman, he'd just go barging right in. This lie was crucial. He couldn't catch you out. Place looked armed to the teeth, even so. All the townsfolk had some way of defending themselves. No gun laws like other places. Shit. Was hoping it'd be a breeze, but we need an easy win right now. I found out from the sheriff that the place is going to be empty soon. You were focused on a hill in the distance, not daring to look directly at him. Still, on the edge of your vision, you could see Curly's eyes narrowed, staring at your face, studying it. How come? Overheard that they retrieve supplies for the town every so often, and the next caravan drives in 3 days. Whole town is going to be going. It'll be empty and unguarded. The suspicion in Curly's eyes melted into a smugness, and a grin split his face from ear to ear. Hot damn, now that is an easy win. He turned his face away from you, shouting into the air of the camp. Boys, 3 days from now, we gonna be rich. He walked away around the camp, kept talking, hyping it up, riling everyone up for what was to come. You didn't need to listen anymore. Your job was done for now. You went back to being invisible, staying out of the way. The usual. Okay, so the reason why I put this at like a 1 to 2 out of 5 on the playability scale. A typical visual novel that isn't just a story that you are clicking through with image and music, which is what this is it would give me choices there. For people who are not familiar with visual novels, as I'm describing it for you, it would give you choices there because it says this lie is crucial, and you would have to basically make skill checks like you were playing D&D, like verbal skill checks, and choose the right options to get that lie across. And it would be like I chose this and that was the wrong option, and then he questions me, and now I have a 1 out of 5 chance to choose the right option, whereas before I had like a 3 out of 5 chance to choose the right option. And that's how a typical visual novel goes. And it leads you down a path with like factors. Oh, I said this to this person at this time. Oh, I went on a date with this person that time. Oh, I showed up late because I chose to spend time with Joseph. Oh, I talked to this person instead of that person when I should have talked to Sheriff first. That's how a visual novel typically goes. It's more like a choose your own adventure type. However, it's all based on what you choose to say to people. So that's like a 5 out of 5 on the playability scale. That's like actually, honestly, that's like a 3 out of 5. That's like your typical visual novel from a dating sim to a something you would spend like $25 to $50 on. You know what I mean? That's like where you can fuck up someone's route and you can get all the way to the end and be like, wait, I didn't get the true ending for this character, you know? It doesn't have a lot of dating sim gameplay. Yeah, like relationship level is not a thing. Yeah, you're right. But there's still, I guess it's the difference between having one ending. This is a story with one ending instead of a story that has branching paths to multiple endings. Good ending, bad ending, true ending. You know what I mean? A super bad ending where you end up dying or something like that. And so that's in my brain from having played. I think I played like maybe 30 visual novels, maybe more in my life. That's kind of how I judge 0 to 5 on a visual novel scale of what's bad to good. And I shouldn't say bad to good because sometimes, like, this is a 1 out of 5 on the playability scale, but it's like an 8 out of 10 on the story scale. You know what I mean? So, like, and they don't average. It doesn't become like a 4. It's just, you can't really, I guess I can't really put a number, but that's what I'm judging the game on, if that makes sense. Look, this is the first scene from the game, except an entire day and a half later. That night, the hills were full of the sounds of howling, cheering, drunken songs as the Curly Wolf gang prematurely celebrated their victory. This was a bigger deal than you had maybe anticipated. In any case, your goal was the same, and they didn't know what was coming. Curly Wolf didn't know what was coming. He was the cockiest you'd ever seen him. The days after were a blur. If you weren't needed to help with some menial work somewhere in camp, you were just sleeping in your tent, trying to avoid the blazing heat, keeping out of everyone's way like you always did, waiting, just like everyone else, for the day you'd ride out. On the night before you were due to leave, you snuck out of your tent, out to where no one would see you. Away from the camp, the sound of it echoing lightly through the air, you clambered halfway down a hill and sat. You didn't do this often. Who knew when someone might come to your tent, needing to drag you away for something? You couldn't risk it often, but being unfindable. But you thought it important enough to do tonight. To come out here and breathe in the cool night air. To stare into the sky across the horizon at the blanket of stars. Trying to pinpoint constellations you were told about when you were much younger. You wondered if Joseph knew any. You didn't think about it at the time. The feather was in your pocket still, the safest place you could think to keep it. At night, when the lights were out, and the tent was filled with the sound of someone snoring, you'd hold it in your hand, flicking through it with the claw on your thumb, feeling the smoothness against your fingers just for a bit before you put it back. It helped you get to sleep. Again, now, while you were alone and sitting under the stars, You pulled it out from your pocket, fiddling with it in your hand, feeling it tickle the pads of your palm. Your mind wanted to wander, to think about important things, to think about all the ways tomorrow could go wrong, to think about what might happen to you both. You didn't let it. The feather helped, too. For once, you just let yourself be calm. You'll see him tomorrow. Until then, worrying would do you no good. You imagined that was the kind of thing he'd say to you if he were here, sitting next to you. The imagined weight of his head on your shoulder, the thought of his warmth sidled up next to you. All the things you wouldn't feel again if you lost him. You'll see him tomorrow. It's the morning. You're awake early. You didn't sleep much anyway, as much as you tried to. The sun was as bright as always, coming through the yellowed fabric of the tent. You laid awake, waiting for others to get up, waiting for Curly Wolf. He'd start rallying guys together for the ride to Clemency soon enough. You needed to make sure you were there. The minutes ticked by, and you heard more people get up, the camp coming to life once more with the sound of work and talk. You got up and got yourself ready, sitting on your bedroll after, and waiting more. Then, the voice of Curly Wolf. All right, boys, gather around. We're headed to the town of Clemency this morning. I need 10 or so men with me to haul valuables. It's around half a day's ride from here. Who's coming to get our gold? Look at them. Look at all these wolves. They got like masks on. Interesting. Oh, and us in the background, Robin. You heard all this as you were leaving your tent, making your way to the small crowd of canines. Whoop. Instantly, there were people joining, eager to prove themselves, to get their hands on real gold. 1, 2, 3 already. You subtly pushed your way through the crowd, trying to reach the front. Pushed out of the edge of the crowd by the huddling bodies, you found yourself standing in front of Curly. He stared at you even as he clapped the hands and shoulders of other guys walking past, joining the excitable group. What are you standing there for, tomboy? We don't need any little pups to help shift their goods. You needed to be on this crew. You couldn't go back to him, though. You didn't know what to say. What could you say? You just kept standing there. You think you're gonna be of any help with that scrawny stick? He grabbed your arm, raising it up and down, shaking it by the wrist. Every inch of you was screaming to snatch your arm from his hand, but you knew what would happen if you did. He threw your arm back at you, making you stumble a little. Go make yourself useful someplace else. I only need real men for this trip. You had to say something. You had to. You had to be there. You'll need a lookout. He was looking at the assembled group, doing a quick head count. All right, boys, that's 10. Be ready to move out in 5 minutes. He didn't seem to hear you. Your words were quiet, whispered. He tried again. You'll need a lookout, Curly. His ears twitched. He still didn't turn to face you. I heard you the first time. Stop yapping to me about bullshit. We don't know when the townsfolk will be back. It'll be bad if they come back while you're there, and even worse if there's no one keeping an eye out. Y'all will have your hands full already. You heard him sigh, and a little growl rose in his throat before it subsided into nothing. Fine then, tomboy, if you're that eager to come, I suppose I'll have to let you. You're riding in the wagon. You'll need a horse. No, you didn't get that privilege when other people needed them, you suppose. The wagon was fine by you. You knew it was a punishment of kinds, that you'd be riding it on the way back too, along with everything else. Boxes and sacks and supplies and whatnot, all bump and bout, hoping none of them fall over and hit you. Cramped space with nowhere to sit or lie, just standing for hours waiting for it to stop. Get a move on. You followed after Curly to get ready. Of course, what Curly didn't know was that you weren't going to come back. Neither of you were. Whoa, bum bum bum. From where you sat, slumped in the corner of the wagon, the wind whistled through the gaps in the canvas next to your head. The edges flap. The wind ruffled your clothes and your fur, drying up your nose as you sit with your knees up. The wagon rocks and bumps as it's dragged by horse through the desert. And this corner is the only place you feel safe enough to stay. You could at least keep yourself steady, even as it tried to knock you about, clinging onto the wooden frame. Looking toward the entrance of the wagon, where the covering split down the middle, you couldn't see much. Or rather, what you could see were great clouds of dust billowing out from the wheels and into the dry air. As uncomfortable as the wagon was, at least it provided you shelter from the sun, unlike riding on horseback. The winds coursing past your ears were welcome too, cooling your head that was swimming with thoughts. You knew you were close to Clemency now. The entourage had been traveling long enough. As you got closer and closer, the minutes stretched on. You felt sick to your stomach, less so butterflies, more like hornets. This was going to be it. This was what you'd been waiting for. Not just for days, but years, really. A chance like this. All the anxieties and concerns you'd pushed down last night were rushing back up like geysers. What if Joseph wasn't there? What if his gang wasn't there? What if you reached Clemency and Curly realizes you were lying? What if you couldn't kill them both, or they demolished the town and Sheriff came back to find nothing left, to find you'd broken your promise? What if you were killed quickly or slowly? You'd seen Curly kill traitors before. The simple fear of dying took hold of your heart, the chill of the Reaper's shadow. No, this wasn't going to be it. This isn't all there was going to be. You'd see him again, soon. You'd do what you had to, together. This wasn't going to be it. There would be more after. It was hard for you to imagine, but you knew it to be true. There would be days after today. You wanted to see them. And if you die, at least it was for a reason. You sure as hell weren't going to go out without a fight. This was a risk you'd always be willing to take. You and Joseph would take it together, and you were going to see it through. You steeled your resolve, locking the furnace of your heart so that no one may put it out. The rumble of the wagon started to slow. The rocking back and forth became gentler and gentler until everything came to a stop with a small lurch. The constant motion that had been in your body was gone. All of a sudden, everything seemed impossibly still. Like when the many conversations in a bar all died down suddenly, leaving it quiet in a strange moment. You heard the thud of Curly jumping off of his horse and crawled the floor of the wagon to the front. Curly came and opened the low wooden door. The light of the late morning sun was blinding, and you held your arm over your brow to shelter your eyes. As your eyes adjusted, the bright desert became clearer. Hazy rock formations in the distance became familiar. Walking round the wagon, you saw the shapes of buildings that set your teeth on edge. The town of Clemency. Here we are, boys. What a shithole. No one here, at least. We'll take what we're here for and leave sharpish. Won't know what hit 'em. Ain't that right, Tom boy? He slapped you hard on the back. There was an anticipation in the air amongst yourselves. This was the place they'd been waiting for. You'd been waiting for it too, but the anticipation was not one of eagerness. Even in your brief visit here, many things had happened. In some way, being back in Clemency was comforting. Despite that, you couldn't ignore the chill in your veins at the prospect of what will come next. There was no backing out now. Felt like those few times in the past when the fuse on a stick of dynamite had been lit and you were still holding it. There was only going to be a few moments more before the spark reached the end of the wick. It was written very well. Very good writing. And I like when it feels like a real adventure. You know what I mean? Like the stakes feel real. It feels like like I'm playing D&D, I'm playing a Western campaign, and I'm trying to get these gangs to fight each other, and I convince the town to leave for one day so that we can get them to meet up. It's a good scenario. I'm quite enjoying it. Whoever wrote this, they would make a killer D&D campaign. However, I will say, I have noticed there are no women at all in this story. I noticed that when I saw like the entirety of Curly's gang. I was like, wow, there are really no women in this story. Which, I mean, I guess is the point, but like, I don't know. I was just usually in towns in the West, there's like 50-50, you know what I mean? I don't know. Just an observation, but I'm sure that was just the point. The author did that intentionally. Curly started walking into the town, and you followed suit with everyone else, staying close behind him. Clemency was dead quiet, not a soul in sight, just like Sheriff said it'd be. I have to turn my AC on. Hold on. It's on, but it's like not turning on. I'll be right back. Never mind. It was not on, actually. It was actually off, and it was 78 degrees in here, and I'm sweating because I'm wearing a hat to hide my hair. He studied the town as he walked down the main street, peering through windows, drawing up plans in his head. Every building you walked past filled you with a little more fear. You were still waiting for something to happen, for anyone else to appear. Soon enough, Curly would want to get started for real and ask you where the gold was supposed to be. Then, at the end of the street, you saw what you were waiting for. Who you were waiting for. A hazy, clumped group of guys making their way onto the main street from the other side of town. As they got closer, it became clearer. The figure... Oh, shit! He's a vulture. The figure of a tall and slender bird, with many others in tow, straggling behind him. Where's our guy? I don't see Joseph. Much like you behind Curly. Curly stopped as he spotted the group too, staring them down. Oh shit! Yo! It's a standoff, baby! Nah, who the hell is that in my town? He started walking again with purpose and menace, and they quickened their pace and turned towards you. You felt your heart beating in your chest now, reaching up to your throat, blood rushing, adrenaline starting to build in you. You were really here, and you could see Curly wasn't happy about it. Both sides slowed as they came close to each other, coming to a stop halfway down the street, a few dozen paces between them. Not too close, not too far. You saw a Black Vulture. Was his name always Black Vulture? No. His name was Black Crow. Was it not? Was it not Black Crow for the entirety of the game until this moment? I swear to God. You saw Black Vulture much more clearly now, and he was looking with intrigue at Curly. I think I might have to go back and look. You looked past him, though, desperately searching the small crowd of people following in his wake until you saw the one you'd been waiting for. Joseph, stony face and stern, blending in with his compatriots. It was almost funny to compare to the laid-back and jovial man you'd gotten to know. After a few moments longer of staring each other down, Black Vulture spoke. What voice should I give him? Well, well, is that who I think it is? The infamous Curly Wolf? What's it to you? And what are you doing in my town? Well, I'd imagine we're both here for much the same reason. I've heard tales of your exploits. Can't say the same. Who are you? I'm Black Vulture, gentleman outlaw of the... Doesn't ring a bell. Feathers of Black's neck clearly ruffled at Curly's rebuttal, but he waved it off. More fool you, I say. You here for the gold, then? Yes, and How strange that we might run into each other like this. I'm willing to bet you're not a sharing man. Like I said, this is Curly Wolf property now, so you best go on and fly away. No, I don't think we will be, Curly. I think it would be a shame for so much gold to be wasted on scum like you. Should keep that highfalutin beak of yours shut, unless you want the barrel of a gun inside it. Let us see, then, Curly Wolf. To the victor go the spoils, and I intend to spill that tiny brain of yours across the dirt. Fine by me. Don't need much of a brain to shoot you. This wasn't how you wanted things to go. You and Joseph were still in the thick of it, facing each other. You thought you'd be out of the fight. The air was still. Hands came to hover over guns, every pair of eyes trained on the opposing side, waiting. In a standoff like this, it was a test of the boss's mettle, their mental fortitude. How long would anyone last before pulling the trigger? Trying to psych each other out, being the first. I accidentally hit space, I'm sorry. It was a test of loyalty, too, for everyone following them. Your underlings couldn't step out of line or take the shot themselves. To break rank early would be a betrayal, but when bullets went flying, it was unpredictable. Staying meant a risk to yourself. You knew Curly was a good shot. He had the upper hand here, but you were reminded of something Joseph told you. Black Vulture wasn't the shooter. Shootist? He had someone else for that. He would brag, but he wasn't the real one. You thought about whether Curly should know. Wait, an actual fucking choice? Okay, we're saving? Just in case? Are you kidding me? An actual choice? I'm so fucking thrilled, dude. Okay, let's weigh our options here. So if we tell Curly, that means that Curly might kill Black Vulture because he gets overconfident, and then we're stuck with just Black Vulture. But if we keep quiet, then Curly won't know that someone else is going to do the shooting. And so he's waiting for Black Vulture to shoot. And then someone else shoots him. So I'm going to keep quiet because I think Curly is more dangerous than Black Vulture. And I think if Curly goes down, then Curly's gang can finish off Black Vulture. But I don't think Black Vulture's gang could finish off Curly. That's my reasoning. If we fuck it up, we saved, we can just come back. I'm going to keep quiet. No, it was better if Curly didn't know about the shooter. As dangerous as it was to leave someone like that hanging around during a fight, it was more a danger to him. The seconds dragged on. It felt as though your very breath may tip the scales, chest heavy from breathing the air of people who wanted to kill you. There was safety in numbers, in the crowd. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. Even so, you found yourself, for the first time, thinking about running. Never before had you considered it. This time was different, of course. There wasn't going to be a next time. Running would tip the scales for sure, but you couldn't know in whose favor. Playing it safe with the gang, or run and let help. Bro, they're just giving me all these... I'm saving here too, fuck it. They're giving me all these choices. I'm gonna stay. No, if you ran, you might make yourself a target. Better to stick with the gang till they scatter. Curly spoke up in a low voice, cast to those behind him. Watch and learn, boys. He flexed the wrist of his hand, holding it out before clutching his gun in its holster. You saw Black Vulture react in turn, reaching for his gun. Curly liked to play with his food, to show off. He waited for the moment Black grabbed his gun the same, then quickly and expertly pulled it free, pointing it dead straight. He knew he'd always be quicker on the draw. A shot rang out, a bang that made your heart jump, and you saw Black Vulture double over, clutching his side. Fuck, that's not how I thought it was going to go at all! The smoke was barely rising from the barrel of Curly's gun when another shot rang out. Full on ego and admiring his handiwork, he had noticed one small bird hanging on the edge of the crowd that had raised his rifle. Curly's face instantly twisted into a full-toothed cry of pain, eyes clenched shut, staggering back a step as he clutched at the side of his chest. Fuck! A moment passed before the crowd behind you dispersed, everyone running to take cover as the fight broke out. On the other side, you saw the clump of figures scattering like ashes to either side of the street. You couldn't see where Joseph went, and you couldn't afford to hang around as more shots were firing. Curly was struggling to move, and he turned to see you still standing there, alone. A bullet whizzed by, striking the ground. He gave you a look and slumped over onto you, one arm slung over your shoulder, much of his weight bearing down on you now. You had no choice but to help carry him out of the street, knees shaking as you walked as quickly as you could. We save him? Put a bullet in him. Robin, put a bullet in him. Your compatriots fired a volley of rounds. I skipped. Can I go back? History. Your compatriots fired a volley of rounds down the street, providing you enough cover to drag your bleeding boss between the two buildings. He was heavy on your neck and wobbling as you walked together, his stride still outpacing you as you tried to keep up and push him along. You kept walking through the long clump of houses that lined the main street, pushing through the other side where it gave way to a hill. Put a bullet in him. Come on, you got this. You got this, Robin. Don't give up. At the corner that led out of the shade, he rested against the wall, lightening the load off of you as he craned his neck to check if the way was safe. Again, without a word, he re-slumped onto you, and you walked around the corner together. Curly used the houses as support too now, bloodied hand dragging against the walls as he used you to drag him ever forward. Gunshots continued to ring out, bouncing through the alleys and streets next to you. The acrid smell of gunpowder drew stronger, even as your nose was full of the stench of Curly's sweat-laden fur. You stumbled along this back path a little more before Curly's weight on you suddenly became crushing, like gravity itself had become stronger. The full weight of Curly lay on you for a moment before your knees buckled and he slid off with a grunt. He threw out a hand trying to catch himself, scraping it on the wall of the house as he fell, coming to sit in the dirt. He sat with his back flat against the slatted wooden wall, one hand reaching across to grasp his side so hard you could see the tendons. The other hand clutched his gun, fingers resting next to the trigger. He breathed slowly and heavily through gritted teeth, staring out over the edge onto the rest of town, across roofs and into the desert. His ears twitched with the pop of guns around you, seeming to come from every direction. This was the best chance you were going to get, you thought. He was so vulnerable looking. Some part of your mind, though, said you couldn't. You can't kill him. Something will go wrong. He's a hurt and cornered animal right now. Staring real hard at me there, tomboy. Worried I'm gonna croak on you? Don't. I'm not going nowhere. You could feel the weight of your gun in your holster as you shifted on your feet, the space where your hand needed to be to grab it. Curly fidgeted about, like it was impossible for him to get comfortable where he was, before giving up and sitting crooked. We'll hide out here for the time being. The boys will take care of things. You're not much good in a fight, but you're better protection than nothing. Some of the black vultures might come this way, so keep your eyes peeled. You gently unholstered your gun, letting it dangle on your fingers by the handle. You didn't want to stick around. You didn't know how the fight was going. You didn't know if Joseph was all right. You were just wasting time standing here with this bastard bleeding on the ground next to you. Just shoot him. That's all you had to do. Just shoot him and be done with it. You've killed people before. He deserved it more than most. And still, you can't bring yourself to do anything. Your ears prick up. You hear the sound of someone running this way, thudding fast against the dirt, and look up. You swing your gun hastily, ready for whoever's coming your way. You don't see anything for a few more moments until a bird comes running out, looking around frantically. It was Joseph, panting, holding his shotgun in both hands as he looks your way and his eyes land on you. They light up like the brightest fireworks. Oh, shit, there's one. The glint of Curly's gun shone in the corner of your eye as he moved, arm crossing his body, pointing upward. Joseph's eyes widened, pupils becoming pinpricks, trying to turn tail and run as he saw Curly take aim. It was all so quick, and it felt like an eternity as you yourself lifted your gun, aiming directly at Curly's hand as it steadied itself. Before doubt and fear could take hold, you squeezed the trigger and saw his hand explode. The sound of the shot rattled through your head. Joseph staggered and stopped as it went off. Curly snatched his hand away. His gun dropped to the ground with a dull thud, and he buried the hand into himself, crying out and growling. What the what? He looked bewilderingly at Joseph, failing to understand what had blasted the fingers off his hand before looking to his side, at you, looking at the wisps of smoke from the barrel of your gun. You felt yourself panting heavily, hand shaking. In fact, your whole body shaking with adrenaline. You heard the thump of footsteps again and looked up to see Joseph run over, slowing as he neared you and Curly. I think I chose the right options, guys. The two met eyes, anger and disgust spilling onto Curly's face in equal amounts, while Joseph's became pitiful, you thought. So this is him, huh? A great Curly Wolf? Joseph came down from your eye level, crouching to Curly, studying his face. Ha! All makes a little more sense now. Found yourself a little buddy, did you? He won't stick around. I can see it in his eyes. Shut your trap, Curly. Anger flitted across Curly's brow, but he wasn't stupid. He knew he wasn't getting out of this situation. He was as good as dead. You really are two peas in a pod, traitors and cowards who just run from everything. His breaths were haggard, throat hoarse and harsh, holding on out of spite more than anything else. Whatever he told you, promised you, tomboy, it's not real. I know people like that when I see it. When things get tough, he'll leave. He'll run like all the other times. Will you run first? You might say that's not so, but I know you're a liar. Always have been. Should have known you betrayed me sooner or later. Saw it in your eyes all those times. Never liked you. Do you even know his name? Joseph regarded Curly coolly, but his anger wasn't concealed by the sharp spite in his voice or the clench in his jaw. Does it matter? What's a name anyhow? If I call someone and they come, that's their name. Answer the question. Do you know his name? Curly squinted up at Joseph, the sun shining in his face. You and Joseph's shadow cast upon the wall beside him. No, of course I don't. The deafening blast of Joseph's shotgun cut him short, and you flinched away, averting your eyes from the peppered red mess of his chest. You followed the momentum of your flinch, turning round, gazing out across the hill and down into the town, breathing in and out. You heard one last breath of sorts behind you, a gurgle of blood from the mouth, and the rustle of clothes as he fell limp. Wrong answer. Robin? You gingerly reached a hand behind him, tugging at his shirt when you found Purchase, pulling yourself in. I fucking did it. Let's go. I fucking killed Curly Wolf and Black Vulture. His arms caught you as you took a weak step toward him, returning his embrace as he held you close, your heads over each other's shoulders. There was a pit in your stomach making you nauseous. You closed your eyes as you breathed in, focusing on his smell so close to you. Are you all right? Are you hurt? I'm fine. Pulled away from each other as you heard more gunshots, the fight starting up again, no doubt caused by Joseph's shotgun. We need to get somewhere safe. Wait for this to blow over. Once they realize Curly's dead, the guys will probably hightail it out of here. Where's Black Vulture? Not sure. Lost him when the fighting broke out. I was more concerned about finding you, really. Holstering your gun, you stooped down and picked up Curly's revolver from where it had fallen. You grabbed Joseph's hand and placed it on your shoulder to pull him with you, walking briskly, keeping on the way you'd been going already. We can skirt around the edge of town and make our way to the saloon. Safest place I can think of. Joseph nodded and followed you, trailing by his arm, your gun held firmly and ready in your hand, cautious of every alley you passed. We're almost done. We're almost out of here. Don't worry about it, Robin. You kept following the edge of the hill, leading for where the street bent, sheriff's office being across the way. You were aiming to loop around the back of the office and avoid the firefight in the street, but as it came into view, a tall figure started to pass by. Oh, shit! You're alive! He didn't notice you at first, but the sound of you both stopping short caught his attention, and you met the eyes of Black Vulture. What voice did I give him? Well, what do we have here? Taking a prisoner, Joseph? You could see the blood staining his coat, his shirt, on the side of his stomach where he pressed his hand, but he seemed surprisingly unfazed. Following Black from behind the building came a bird you recognized as the shooter, the one who shot Curly. He stood behind Black, rifle firm in both hands, a mask covering his face, small eyes watching keenly. The grip of Joseph's hand on your shoulder grew tighter, and he pulled you toward him a little, continuing to walk you forward slowly. Yeah, thought he might be useful. Should have some knowledge about Curly Wolf's hideouts and whatnot. Black grunted, hunching over, but now standing taller, his crooked neck raising his head above you. Always so quick on your feet, Joseph. It's good thinking. I'm just curious as to why you're not holding him at gunpoint. Took a few steps closer to you both. Or indeed, why I had to take a bullet for your actions. My actions? You ran, you slimy traitorous coward. You ran with your tail between your legs, and now I'm bleeding from the stomach. Your palms were sweating, your head down, faced away from Black and his shooter, hiding the gun in your hand. It was a bad time to be caught in the act. You thought about whether this was your chance to kill Black, but he was so close to you both, with his own gun drawn still. As you knew now how hard it would be for Joseph to try to kill him, fear dripping inside his chest. We shouldn't stick around. Curly's guys might find you. You dared to look behind you, look at where they were standing, but you saw in Black's eyes you'd made a mistake. The glint of a gun in your hand, hidden and now revealed as you twisted your body ever so slightly too much. Joseph must have seen the connection too, a spark of realization in Black's eyes. He swung his arms suddenly towards Black, bashing him upside the head with his shotgun and knocking him to the ground with a grunt. The shooter, even while watching closely, was caught off guard, and though he readied his rifle quickly, you had already begun to look at him. You aimed the revolver at his head and fired a shot clean through. His mask flew off, twisting in the air. As the shooter fell, his dying trigger fingers squeezed enough to let loose a final shot from the tilted rifle. You heard the telltale wet thud of a bullet hitting someone, and Joseph cried out for a moment, hand slipping to clutch his thigh. Oh, it's only his thigh. It's okay. Damn, little son of a gun still got me. Black was already starting to stir from being knocked down, and you pushed your head under one of Joseph's arms. Come on, we need to go, now. Joseph held his arm around your shoulders, using your help to take some of the weight off, but still limping as fast as he could with the pain. You abandoned your plan to go around town and ran down the nearest alley toward the main street and toward the fight. This is falling apart. You had one fucking job. You couldn't afford to get caught out by someone again, Black or otherwise. Joseph was too hurt. You just had to get to the saloon. As you reached the street, everything had lulled once again, the air deadly quiet all of a sudden. You poked your head out, and wherever people were hiding, it wasn't anywhere near you. The saloon was just across the street. You looked to Joseph, his face so close to yours, and he nodded. You pushed off together, running and walking as fast as you could to get across without being seen. Halfway across the wide street, the saloon porch, so close, you looked behind you, only to see Black coming to a halt as your eyes met. Wiping blood off his face from the cracked beak, he aimed his gun at you both from the alley entrance. Your heart skipped a beat as you crashed into the ground, pulling Joseph with you, hoping you might dodge the bullet. A shot rings out, but it didn't come from behind you, and in fact you quickly look toward Black to see him ducking down. His hat was knocked off by an unknown shot, and he grabbed it before scuttling back, hiding further in the alley. The shots spooked the hiding gang members too, and a couple shots were fired back, and many of them, and then many more, adding to the cacophony. You picked Joseph and yourself up off the dusty ground, seeing down the street that many were shooting up at some attackers on the roofs. You took off running in a crouch, with your hand balled into a fist around your gun and the back of Joseph's clothes, dragging him with you. Both stumbling up the stairs of the saloon porch, you flung open the doors and helped Joseph inside with haste. There was a loud crack as the wooden door frame was struck and splintered near your head. As you turned and slammed the door shut, you see Black pull away from aiming at you, now having to reload. Oh, I think I missed something. Nope. Okay, so Black was the one who shot at us. With the doors shut, your eyes adjusted to the dimly lit interior, the sun not quite shining in the same as the last time you were here. Joseph stood with his injured legs slightly off the floor, leaning on a table with one hand. You go over to him and unholster your gun, handing it to him by the barrel. Handle pointed upward. You take it. You need something better than that shotgun. I have it for a reason, Robin. I'm a real terrible shot, more likely to hit you than who I'm aiming at. Then take it for good luck. I've had it for a long time, and it's always done me well. He gave you a hesitant look, still. You both knew time was of the essence, but he didn't want to put you in any danger. You trusted him. You knew this wasn't dangerous. 2 revolvers isn't much good to me. Just take it and hide. Black's still coming after us. Joseph took the pistol from you and slid his shotgun across the floor to the end of the bar, limping over to hide behind it. You ducked down yourself and scuttled over to the nearest window, listening to the shootout happening outside. You needed to know where Black Vulture was. You pulled up and peeked over the window sill. It's weird how I hiccup while talking. It's like my lungs are stuttering. As soon as you pulled your head far enough up, your eyes landed on the distant figure of Black, rifle aimed directly at you. You immediately snapped away from the window and pressed yourself against the wall, holding still as one louder shot echoed in the street. The windowsill next to your head broke with a shrill twang, the panes falling from the sill and shattering either side, the floor covered in glass. You felt a sharp pain pierce your ear and reached up for a moment to feel the tip missing. Oh shit, and it's missing from our character model. Your fingers slick with blood as you brought them down. The side of your face started to feel wet. You could feel your fur matting and sticking to itself inside your ear. He'd known where you were. He'd almost got you, but you knew where he was now, and he'd probably try to move and throw you off. You reared your head up along with your gun, spotting Black sneaking away from where he was as he tried to avoid errant bullets. He saw you as you took aim through the window, but you weren't going to falter and let him get the jump on you again. You followed his movement with your hand, watching where he was going, and squeezed the trigger just ahead of him. The gunshot echoed through the saloon, and a single moment later, Black fell with a small spray of blood, kicking up dust as his legs splayed out. You stood up a little, still crouched, peering more clearly over through the window to get a better look at him on the ground. He didn't seem to be breathing. You kept watching for any sign of life, any movements, but even as bullets from the fight hit dirt and wood beside him, he didn't seem to stir. You gingerly kicked the broken glass under you aside, taking a deep breath. You slunk down and sat with your back to the wall, ears down, not wanting to attract any more shooters still outside. Why did they say shootist? Why did they write shootist? That's not a word. That's not a word. The wary head of Joseph poked out from the end of the bar, looking at you. His eyes then flicked around the window. I got him. He's dead. Black's dead. We should just lie low here for a bit. Joseph nodded, shuffling from under behind the bar a bit more. Maybe a bit of a mess of the saloon. Hope Bob won't be too mad about it. You hope so too. You suggested Sheriff must have told people about what was happening, but you weren't sure. You'd help fix it up if you could. You sat there, waiting, listening as the fight outside died down. You could hear some distant shouts, sounds of people running, the wind howling through the open window, the crunch of glass. Your ears flicked towards the noise as a feathered hand shot through the window, grasping at your face. How are you alive? The arm grabbed under your chin and pulled and jerked you up. Breaths became caught and strained as you were half choked to the window. You dropped your gun and desperately pulled at the arm, claws digging into the skin of Black's wing as you tried to break free. Another arm threw itself in as he got to his knees, pressing your head against the wooden windowsill and tilting your head back. You could see his face close in your periphery, and his other hand now came to your throat, something sharp and cold resting against your skin. The shard of glass glinted in the sun, and refractions danced around the dim saloon. Your claws hurt from scratching feathers out of his arm. You didn't want to die. Your head forced back, neck thrust forward, exposed, looking at the nothing of the ceiling above you. This is gonna hurt you much more than it's hurting me. The words brushed past your ear. You felt the arm move, the glass start to prick into your skin. A loud bang went off, reverberating around the room and vibrating deep in your body for a moment. You fell to the floor. You crashed into the shattered glass beneath you, twisting to look up at the window, running your hand along your throat with subsiding panic. The arms that had been around you went limp, hanging through the window along with Black's long neck, his face motionless and frozen. The bloody chart of glass in his hand fell to the floor with a tink. The blood from his head started to drip next to it. You looked over at Joseph and saw him sitting lopsided on the floor, your revolver in his hand still pointed toward the window. He was looking past you at Black, breathing heavily, and then looked in your eyes, his head not moving an inch, just a flick of his stare. He blinked after what seemed like an eternity, and you felt the roughness of breaths in your throat, a hoarse cough every so often. You pushed your hand against the floor and sat up, Joseph putting the gun down carefully beside him. I think we got him for real, then. You gave a small, nervous chuckle, as did he. More gunshots started up outside, only less than before. You got to your knees, holstering the gun you dropped, and crawled carefully over to the broken glass, across the floor, to Joseph. He took a gentle hold of your shorter arm, a warm squeeze. We might be in danger here if somebody sees us, especially with old Big Beak there being a window ornament. Yeah, we could go in the storeroom now, I suppose. He looked over the bar at the door to the store, the gentle curve of thinking on his brow before meeting your eyes again. Saloon has rooms, don't it? Think that's what Boss said. Yeah, it must be upstairs. Should we go? Up? We'll be a darn lot safer and comfier than down here. You thought about it for a moment. Your only worry was whether you might get blood on something for when Bartholomew got back. Though, considering the state of the saloon already, you thought, what the hell? You'll deal with it later. Together. Yeah. Let's. You stood up and helped Joseph with his stiff thighs still to get up too. You walked briskly together past a window, out of sight. You took your time getting up the stairs, taking it slow for Joseph, who was huffing and breathing through gritted teeth as he made his way up. You stumbled along the landing, one arm around each other, towards the furthest room. Oh, it's a nice room. Twisting the handle, you opened the door with some haste, shuffling inside together. You turned and closed the door as quietly as you could, still bumping against the frame. The handle creaked as it turned beneath your hand. You waited there, facing the door, giving yourself a moment, breathing slowly, feeling the metal in your palm, gripping it tightly. With the door closed, the peppering of gunshots from outside was softer. You could imagine them as raindrops against the window. Nice room. You let go and turned to look around the room. You agreed it was nice. It was bright, the sunlight skimming in through the window, curtains open, fading onto the pillows, a clean bed, a side table, a dresser. You wandered over to the bed, reaching out to touch, but thinking better of it when feeling the blood slicking between your fingers. You ran the large rug. A large rug laid on the floor next to the bed, so instead you lowered yourself down to sit on it, leaning back to rest against the frame. You rested your head against it too, at least feeling the softness of the sheets brushed against your fur, meeting the curve of your neck. Joseph still stood where he was, looking into the middle distance. After a few moments, his glassy stare turned down to you, coming back to life. What do we do now? We wait. Wait for the fight to die out. Once they realize who's died, they should leave. Hopefully we won't be looked for. Right. He shuffled over to the bed and leaned down, groaning as he hit the rug, sitting against the bed, as you did now. Sit here and hope for the best. As good a plan as I could think of. His hurt legs stretched out again against the floor was as he massaged the muscle gently, bringing the other closer out of the way. Leg's killing me. Well, not really, thank God. The bleeding looked like it had stopped, thankfully, but still needed tending to before it got worse. So we didn't hit an artery, that's good. Your ears flicked as you turned your head, and you felt the still air stinging against the exposed tip of your ear. You reached up for a moment, feeling it, finger running past the matted, sticky fur. The bleeding had stopped there, too. You can get patched up when all the townsfolk come back, I hope. Yeah, I'll be fine. Don't you worry. You tried not to worry, settling yourself down, trying to rest. You stared at the wall of the bedroom, unsure what to think, unsure how to feel, tracing the grain of the wood with your eyes. You wondered if the numbness you felt made you a monster, some strange lacking that left you there, bereft of feeling. How were you supposed to feel when Curly's sitting behind a house, limp body baking in the sun? How were you supposed to feel with black draped over a window, lifelessly hanging in the shade of the porch? You couldn't shake the feeling of the glass pressed against your neck through your fur, cold against your skin, like it was still there, like if you moved in a second you'd find yourself gasping on the ground, drowning, grasping at your own throat. You were brought back to your thoughts as your ear drew your eyes away from the wall, down to your side, down where Joseph's hand fidgeted, tapping against the floor. The softest of patters against the rug, an unheard rhythm from within him. His breathing caught your eye too, the noticeable rise and fall of his chest, the long exhales through his nose. Your eyes continued up to his sullen face, the feathers of his head subtly shaking, nerves bubbling to the surface. You looked back down at his hand and found yourself reaching across, reaching out to take hold. Joseph jolted as you touched him, his hand almost reflexively jerking out of yours as he came back to the world. He looked down. He relaxed his arm when he saw, squeezing you a little and letting you steal his hand away into your lap. He was trembling as you stroked your thumb over the feathers, squeezing his hand back firmly. Your hands moved around each other, grappling and dancing, exploring each other's fingers and palms, a distraction of each other's fur and feathers, just the two of you. Joseph's arm being pulled away from him started to make him lean, his body subtly shifting inch by inch closer to you. He started to tilt, and his head tilted too, laying on your shoulder with a comforting heft of weight. You laid your head on his, feather ends tickling you through your fur. He untwisted his arm into a comfier position, keeping it near. You took hold again, holding the back of his hand, digging your fingers in between his, intertwining. Now you were both still, only the small movements of getting comfortable to disturb you, hands fidgeting together. We're alive, huh? Did we really do that? Nah, there's no way. When we rolled up on Clemency and I saw y'all, I thought we had no shot. How did we make it out alive? There was an incredulity in his voice that weighed on your heart. He was right. You nearly died. Nearly, but you didn't. you were still alive. You were still here with him. I don't think I care about how or the why. We're still alive and they aren't. All that matters to me is that I'm sitting here with you, that I can feel how warm you are. Joseph sat up at that, his head no longer on your shoulder as he turned to look at you, looking into your eyes. You found your hand let go of his, reaching up, wanting to feel him, feel his warmth, the way his stomach moved as he breathed. His heart still beating strong inside him, like it was reaching out to you, quickening as you let your hand lay on his chest. You felt your own heartbeat thrumming louder now, like you had just minutes ago. Not out of fear this time, not that kind, as you reached up past his shoulder. He closed his eyes as your hand rubbed gently up his neck, feathers fluffing, stroking up till you cupped his face. The feathers of his face were soft, intermingled with the dust and dirt and specks of dried blood that you felt beneath your hand. He opened his eyes again, those big, honey gold and brown rings that started to flick around your features, studying you, looking at you in a way you don't think you've ever been seen before. He cleared his throat a little, dry and unsure of his words, but wanting to say them all the same. You know, did I ever tell you how handsome you are? You couldn't help your little snort as you laughed, turning your face away, giggling over the nervous trip of his words. No, I don't think you did. Oh, come on, Robin. Looking back at him, it felt like your faces were closer. Your laughter subsided, cheeks starting to warm as the sweetness of his words trickled into your thoughts like honey. You found yourself leaning in slowly, as he did, your eyes glancing at each other's mouths. A stretch of tension on your back as your head pushed forward had your hand buried in the softness of his feathers, pulled him closer. Eyes meeting once more, just a moment before. Take a screenshot. I gotta take a screenshot real quick. It's exactly what we were waiting for. Let's go! Your faces met. You pressed your lips to the end of his beak, his hot breath on your lips, in your mouth, as yours was in his. You held the kiss there, holding your lips to his, unsure if this was what you were supposed to do. You never kissed anyone like this before. You hadn't met anyone like Joseph before either. You just want to be close to him like this. Your heart was beating hard in your chest, your cheeks flushed and hot. You heard what sounded like sweeping, realizing it was your tail wagging across the floor. A few more seconds passed before the kiss was broken, your hand falling from his face to hold onto his arm. You looked at each other with quivering breath. You could feel the strong rhythm of his heartbeat in your hand. A big, gracious smile spread across Joseph's face. You matched it with a more sheepish one, embarrassed, still despite everything. I'm guessing you've never kissed someone with a beak before. No, I haven't. Or anyone without one for that matter. Well, if that really was your first time, I got nothing to complain about. I'd just say it was a very mammal kiss. Oh, really now? Do educate me. You had a lot of lip to it. Birds can't do that so well, you see? So we tend to kiss a little differently. Your face warmed even more, your ears burning as he leaned in closer, talking softly. Let me show you. One hand came to rest on your leg as he leaned forward. His beak passed flush with your snout. Close your eyes as he came close, the whisper of his breath warm on your face as the tip of his beak gently poked at your cheek. He breathed and rubbed his beak through your fur, almost nibbling at you, feeling soft scrapes against your skin. Joseph's affections continued against your cheek, the feather of his face close to your nose, smelling of sweat and tobacco. He nuzzled through the fur of your face a few moments more before rubbing his beak all along your snout as he dipped his head back. You open your eyes again, bemused by Joseph's new kiss, to gaze upon his bashful face. From the blush of his cheeks and the unusual shyness he was trying to shrug off, you felt as if you'd been entrusted a secret. What do you make of that? I think I like mine better, but I could get used to those too. He slipped an arm around your back, holding you closer as your heart fluttered at the thought of familiar kisses. I will be happy to oblige. His face beamed with a warm smile, and he leaned forward to rest his head atop yours. You reached your hand across him and grabbed his other hand, pulling it into his lap, keeping you all close like a bundle of sticks, letting your mind focus on him, feeling his hand squeeze your side firmly, squeezing his other hand back, listening to his breathing, to the small shuffles of his clothes, to the faint beat of his heart in his chest. Your ear flicked around a little as you heard something else, some subtle noise you wanted to ignore, focusing on the warmth of Joseph. The fight in the street seemed to be over. No longer could you hear the muffled shots, the pops or bangs or cracks that split the air. What you could hear now, though, were rhythmic thuds, distant and soft, but growing louder by the second. It was footsteps, first at the stairs, but now coming along the landing, coming closer. You sat up sharply, knocking Joseph in the chin a little as you heard one of the doors open and then close. Whoever it was checking the rooms. Joseph sat up as he took note of the noises as well, realizing the same as you. Someone was looking for you, or at least someone was looking for stragglers. Your hand snapped to your gun and pulled it from the holster, aiming it square at the door. You heard more doors open and close. Whoever it was would be here in just a few seconds. The footsteps grew that little bit louder, and you found something familiar within them. There were 4 steps, 2 people, but there was another offbeat thump there, out of pace. A 5th footstep? As the hunters came to the door, you realized what it was. Your hand came down, pointing the gun away. Joseph whispered urgently, "What are you doing?" It wasn't another footstep you heard. It was the thump of a cane. The door swung open with 2 figures standing in the doorway. A moment of uncertainty had you pointing the gun back their way. You put it away again, though, as, sure enough, he saw who you were expecting. It was Sheriff, along with a man unfamiliar to you, a lanky, serious-looking hare who leaned in, still holding the door handle. "Oh, put that thing away there. We don't mean you no harm." Both of them had rifles slung over their shoulders, and Sheriff's worried face turned to one of relief when your eyes met. And there I was, getting all twisted up, worrying about you too. I knew you'd be all right. "Sheriff, what are you doing here? I thought everyone was out of town." "Well, everyone is, except for us. Oh, I should introduce you. This is Matthew. He stayed behind to help me. I couldn't go without everyone else. I was worried about the town and you boys, so Matthew and I stayed here to help whoever we could. We were up on the roof shooting as a distraction. I hope it was some help." "Wait, that was you? I thought you were supposed to be pacifist." "Well, we didn't actually shoot anyone. We just shot near them. Trying to tip the scales in your favor and give them something else to worry about. Looks like that made the saloon a bit of a target, though. Bartholomew's not going to be happy about this mess." "I'm sorry. We'll do whatever we can to help." Matthew waved it off cheerily. "Don't worry. My husband's a very forgiving man, but this saloon is like his baby. Oh, this is Bartholomew's husband. He'll want to know you're all right, but after that, he's just going to want to fix it up." So this was the husband. You didn't think your first meeting with him would be like this. "Seems like you got banged up pretty bad, too. I don't know if we should have done more." "No, I think you may well saved our lives. We knew the danger of what we were doing. Thank you for helping us like that. You didn't have to." "Yeah, thanks. We owe you one." "Don't mention it. We'll ask for your help when you're better. But right now you need some seeing, too. Lucky for you, the town's doctor's here." "Where?" "You're looking at him." "Oh, sorry." "Nothing to apologize for. We've all had quite the day." "What happened to everyone else?" "We told them to leave. Their bosses are dead, and we said more people will be back soon, too. None of them felt like sticking around. You're safe. Inside yourself, there's some deep, there was some deep sigh of relief you didn't realize you'd been holding on to, like you hadn't breathed right for days. You nodded gratefully. Matthew came in the room and started tending to Joseph first, looking over his injuries. You were both hurt and bruised and bloody, but you were safe now. You wondered how long it would be until you could believe that. You're not sure if you knew back then, or when you realized that you'd carry the scars from that day for the rest of your lives. You and Joseph were put up in separate rooms at the saloon by Bartholomew, who insisted you stay so that Matthew could treat you both. The month you spent resting and recovering there was full of sleepless nights. Nightmares came often, some more vivid than others. You often woke up in the early morning to find yourself in your bedsheets drenched in sweat. Some nights you were woken by Joseph shouting. Those nights you'd sit up in bed, waiting for him to come into your room and crawl in, lying with him until he fell asleep. Other nights, where you felt shaken and sick by what you dreamed about, you'd wake him, asking if you could sleep in his bed. Neither of you talked much otherwise. You kept to yourselves in your rooms, resting, doctor's orders. You weren't sure about their benefits, but Matthew brought you medicines occasionally, often some concoction involving whiskey. He joked about the perks of having a bartender for a spouse. The taste was vile to you still, but you found it helped just a little. It was odd, you thought, that the respite of bed rest felt like just as much work as being up and about at the camp. It sometimes felt like resting was the last thing you were doing. As the days rolled by, there did come the point you'd been waiting for, where you both were feeling fit enough to get up and do something. You still kept to the saloon, only seeing a handful of familiar faces at odd times. The saloon was already clean and mostly fixed up by the time you were recovered enough to lend a hand. You felt like you'd missed your opportunity to help out, but Bartholomew assured you he'd need help when the new windows were to be fitted. It also brought up that neither of you had joined in on the nightly gathering at the saloon. That now you were better, everyone would love to see you. Why is Spacebar not working anymore? You'd heard the gatherings all those nights you'd been resting. Attendance waxed and waned, but every night the saloon was bustling and merry, full of people enjoying each other's company, singing songs, telling stories. The idea of being in the midst of that crowd put ice in your stomach. Joseph happily agreed to come along to the next gathering, and so did you. You knew really that it would be good to be around other people. Now here you were, standing in front of the window of your room, looking out past the vague reflection of your face in the glass. Night had fallen, lights and houses. I like how our ears still fucking, snipped. Lights in the houses down the street snuffed one by one as people left for the saloon, the downstairs filling with the town. Already you could hear the muffled sounds of mingling, chatter, spatters of loud laughs that had grown familiar to you through the walls. You kept looking out the window into the dark desert, knowing that you'd have to move soon, just waiting another second, another minute. You had to go on, leave the room. A short sigh at yourself sent you off, walking across the room to meekly open the door. You pulled it open just a crack, the warm lamplight in the saloon spilling in, and to your surprise you found Joseph standing there, one hand raised, about to knock on your door. He flashed you a little smile, clearly asking if he could come in. You opened it just enough to let him in before closing it, leaning with your shoulder to the door as he stood close to you. "Hey, hi." Your greetings practically stumbled over each other, both clearly antsy, trying to get some words out. Okay, it's only been a month. I know that this is a story, but it reminds me when I had a bunch of employees at one point at a big company, and one of them stopped showing up to work, and we didn't know why for like a week, and we were like, I guess he just quit. And then we finally heard that he was in he was buying he told us that he was in a liquor store buying liquor and that a fight broke out in the parking lot and they started shooting at each other and they shot through the windows and it hit him in the thigh, basically exactly where Joseph got shot, and that he wouldn't be able to walk for like 3 to 4 months and that he was in the hospital. And that's what he told us. But I knew this guy. He was a rapper. I took headshots of him and did photography for him and went to my friend's house when we would record beats together and he would rap on the track. And he wasn't like a big, like, he wasn't a drug dealer, but he was like, he would buy drugs from people periodically, mostly weed. And I think what really happened is he got in a bad situation that way. And he never confirmed nor denied, because I asked him about this at work when we were like alone over in an area of the warehouse, just like between friends, because we were friends. And he was like, I can only say what I can say. And I was like, okay, all right. But I'm pretty sure he got in a bad situation that way, and it wasn't just like a freak accident. But that's besides the point. It took like 4 months before he could come back to leave the hospital. And then it took, he's not going to incriminate himself, but he kind of gave me a wink and a nod, if you know what I mean. And he didn't come back to work for like 8 months, like almost the entirety of a year. He got shot in like summer, and he didn't come back till like almost winter was over. And then when he finally did come back, he showed me the wound, and it was fully healed, but it was like a chunk of his thigh was just gone from the exit wound. And he was like, yeah, it's just going to look like that forever. And the bullet hole was like a little hole. It was just the size of a dime. And the crater around it was like a bottle cap size. But the exit wound was like a fist. You know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, man, like I'm better now, but he couldn't lift. He was afraid to lift. I don't know if he could or if he couldn't, but we had to put him on like easy work for a long time. And so I'm all I'm going to say is I know this is a story, but Joseph getting shot in the thigh reminded me that like getting shot in the thigh is no fucking joke. I also don't know if my friend got shot in like an artery, or if they like what the caliber of the bullet was. If it was like, I'm sure if it was a 9mm, he would have been a little bit better. It wouldn't have been as bad because those are like much smaller bullets. But I have no idea what he got shot with. But Joseph getting shot just reminded me of that story. Anyway, are you ready? You chewed the inside of your cheek a little as you thought. You wanted to be ready. You wanted to go down and see the people who had cared for you. Joseph was here too. It would be fine. I'm not ready either, if it helps. I figured we'd dilly-dally about it, though. We'll never be ready. Yeah, you're right. He sighed, and Joseph patted you on the shoulder, a little reassurance to get you going. All right, let's go have a good time. That's the spirit. Joseph followed closely behind you as you opened the door wide and stepped out, eyes adjusting from the darkness of your room. The game should end right here. It didn't end. Okay. I think I have opinions about when games should end. I always have. I've always been like, game should end right here. That would be cinematic. It's beautiful. It should have ended. It should have faded to black right there. He closed the door as you left and walked along the landing together, down the stairs, looking out over the disparate crowds. Clemency was a small town, but with so many packed into here, it felt like even the busiest of bars you'd glanced inside of before. As you neared the bottom of the stairs, you heard a voice call out, "Robin! Joseph! Over here!" You looked over at the bar and saw Bartholomew waving at you, his arms stuck up high to catch you over the taller patrons milling past. It wasn't just him, either. Standing at the bar were other familiar faces you were happy to see, namely Jacob and Sheriff. You took Joseph's hand and walked through with him, excusing your way past people to the bar. Jacob and Sheriff. Jacob? Right. Sheriff. Okay. Sorry. Jacob, Joseph. Jacob and Sheriff sidled along to make some room between them. a friendly gap for you both to squeeze into. Good to see you well again, Robin. I found myself rather worried about what happened. I'm glad to see you too, Jacob. I didn't lose another limb, so I think I have nothing to complain about. He gave you a gentle, reassuring smile, seeming genuinely calmed by your jokey reassurance. Sheriff leaned in to address you both. It's good to see you both in good health, for sure, and you'll be in even better health with a drink down you. Bartholomew? That's what I'm here for. On the house, fellas. What are you drinking? Damn, really? You sure? We've been taking up your rooms and now free drinks? You're really spoiling us. You both need something so we can toast to your health. Go on, take your pick. Well, I think I'll just stick with a beer. Alrighty, how about you, Robin? Can you do me a whiskey? You felt Joseph giving you a quizzical look, surprised you'd chosen such a hard liquor. Sure thing, let me get them. He turned and busied himself with finding what you'd ordered, and you looked to Joseph, his face still confused over your choice. What? I've acquired a bit of a taste for it. Nah, I can respect it, just didn't see it being your kind of thing. Full of surprises, huh? Sure. You felt a little blush rise to your cheeks as he gave you a wry smile. Bartholomew set down a stout tumbler of whiskey alongside the beer on the counter. You took your drinks as Sheriff started to speak. That's more like it. Now toast to Robin and Joseph. You boys put off something incredibly brave, and I'm thankful you made it. Here, here. You went around clinking glasses with Jacob, Joseph, Sheriff, and Bartholomew before taking a sip of your whiskey. Before it even reached your lips, the smell was burning in your nose and continued to burn as it slipped down your throat. It was a pleasant surprise of sorts, though. You weren't sure if that was the way it was meant to be, but you enjoyed it all the same. So, boys, I don't know what your plans are. Now you're all fixed up, but I thought I'd take a moment to ask if you'd like to stay in Clemency. I really think you fit in here. It's just an invitation, mind you. No need to give me an answer now, but just think about it for me. You and Joseph glanced eyes for a moment, both humbled and blindsided, unsure what to say. Why did the question leave you gripping your glass, fidgeting your thumb over the rim? Wasn't this something you wanted? Thank you, Sheriff. That's a very kind offer. We'll have to sleep on it, I think. Not a problem. Just a suggestion, really. Don't mind me none. Truth be told, I can't say we have much in the way of plans as of now. Yeah, no, I haven't. We've not really thought about what to do next. That was the honest truth. All you could focus on now was getting away from Curly. All you'd focused on was getting away from Curly, out from under his shadow. Now you were free. You could do anything, and yet could think of nothing. A tightness took a hold in your chest. If it isn't my favorite patience, Matthew came wandering over to the bar and greeted you both with a beaming smile. Great to see you up and at it. All thanks to you, Doc. Ah, you're too kind. I'll drink to that. He took a swig of the beer he held, as did Joseph in kind. I'm setting up a poker game right now, so I thought I'd wander around and see who's game. I'll join in. Alrighty, I've already got another guy as well, so you just need at least one more person. You able to sneak away from the bar, hon? He spoke past you to Bartholomew, who rolled his eyes. I admire your tenacity, Matthew, but I'm not gonna join in one of your poker, no matter how many times you ask. All right, can't blame a man for trying. Joseph caught your eye and gave you a look to ask, you mind if I go? To which you just nudged him encouragingly with your elbow. I'm game if you're prepared to lose. Oh, that's fighting words. I should have known you'd be up for it. Come with me to the table. Joseph gave your arm a gentle squeeze before he grabbed his beer and headed with Sheriff toward the back of the saloon. You watched him disappear to the throng of people before turning back to the bar, just left with Jacob and Bartholomew. Not a gambler then? Not a gambler then, Jacob? Oh, heavens no. Not that I have any particular objection. I'm just terrible at it. I have to say my poker face is quite dire. You chuckled at that, certainly seeing how it could be the case. your eyes turned down to your drink, small talk dying away, staring into the clear liquid that streaked the glass as you rolled it around in your hand. Were you a whiskey drinker now? You couldn't have foreseen that a month ago. Nor could you have foreseen before that you'd meet Joseph, that you'd end up here, having left the gang, Curly, gone. Thinking back on it, it felt like you were always going to be under Curly's thumb. What else was there for you? That was going to be your life until the tides of fate swept you elsewhere. You didn't think you'd ever have a chance like this. Now you have the chance to choose your life. Everything is still just as hazy. What comes next? I know that look. You turned your eyes up to Bartholomew as he put his elbows on the bar, leaning in with a friendly, knowing demeanor. That's the face of someone with a lot going on in the upstairs. There's something very interesting at the bottom of that glass. You think about what the sheriff said? Yeah, it's just, I don't know. What are your plans now? You must have some idea what you want to do. I can't say I do. I've not thought about it, I guess. You know, you don't have to stay in Clemency. You could go anywhere, really. Yes, I would say I agree. Traveling is an incredible way to learn and to discover what kind of man you are. What kind of man? Indeed, it is easy when young to think of you know the world, think you know yourself well. That is what I thought before I went on my pilgrimage. The man who left Pennsylvania all those years ago is not the same man who arrived in Clemency. In fact, the man who arrived in Clemency and the man sitting at this bar now are not the same either. Convening with your fellow people gives a great deal of clarity and substance to your character. I think I see what you mean. You knew what he meant, of course. You'd run with Curly for years now. Who you were when you left home and who you are now are strangers to each other. You weren't sure if that person from years ago met you now, that you'd be someone you wanted to know. It's not just yourself either. You can learn a lot about someone else from traveling with them. Me and Matthew learned so much about each other on the trail, both the good and the bad. I don't think you really know someone until you've had to share the same bed for weeks on end. It could be good for you and Joseph. Maybe. You could feel your cheeks turning red. Joseph had talked about riding east before, but that was more like running away at the time. What Bartholomew said stuck in your head. Do you even know Joseph? Do you really know him? You thought you did, but really, you've only just met. You don't really know that much about each other. While you may feel things for him you'd never felt for anyone else, and you've gone through hell and high water to be here together, is that enough? Is that a reason to stick together? Do you want to know who he is? Do you want him to know who you are? You had no idea what the future holds. You had no idea about anything. You don't know Joseph. He doesn't know you either. You don't even know yourself. Tar was welling up in your chest, coating your insides, making you heavy, breathing deep, tapping your fingers on the bar. It's too warm in here, too many people. You need some air. You feeling all right, Robin? His words snapped you out of your thoughts, but the feelings remained. You nodded subtly. Yeah, I think I'm going to go outside, get some air. Giving them both a weak smile of reassurance, you left your drink on the bar and stepped away, passing strangers to head out the doors. I think that the game should have ended when you and Joseph left the room. I think the game should have ended right there. And I know that I'm biased because that's where I would have ended the game, but I feel like all of this could have just been left to like the interpretation and the player's hope for the character, you know what I mean? The night air was refreshing as it cooled your head. You welcomed the chill breeze from the desert that ruffled through your fur. You didn't hang around long on the saloon porch, walking away into the town, leaving behind the yellow light that spilled from its windows. You left the town, too, passing the sign that read its name, making your way up the path at the outskirt that brought back forlorn memories. Memories of feelings not unlike the ones you were harboring now as you stood at the top of your climb on a familiar cliff. You took slow, deep breaths of the night air, filling your lungs, clearing your head. You wandered over to the cliff edge and gazed over the town, the light of the saloon stark against the inky black. The desert was quiet, save for the whistle of wind carrying the chirp of insects. You crouched down and fell on your haunches, sitting and letting your legs hang over the edge of the cliff. It was funny to think how many life-changing things had happened to you up here. Meeting Joseph, spending the night with him, sowing the seeds of your plan to be free. Was there some comfort to being up here? Perhaps. Fond and fresh memories that calmed you, reminding you why you were here. Still, there was a gnawing feeling in your heart no matter how much you hoped for there not to be. Why are you feeling like this? Why are you so worried? Why are you so scared? What's wrong with you? Shouldn't this freedom you have now be a good thing? Why does it feel like everything is about to come crashing down around your ears? What about Joseph, sweet Joseph, that you made a promise with? You let out a heavy sigh. You didn't expect to be weighed down with so many thoughts tonight. This was supposed to be a celebration. Now you were up here, away from everyone, many contradictions running through your mind. That's always been your answer to things, running away. The only time you didn't was because of that promise. How stupid can you be to choose to fight and then want to run away from everything you were fighting for? You'd probably run away from yourself if you could. You just wish you could answer why. You sat for a little while. The wind up here was still a pleasant breeze. It blew past your head, cooling your warm ears, taking small grains of sand with it that floated off the cliff. Not thinking about much at all as you looked out into the night at the distant dark blue silhouettes of hills. Howdy, stranger. What brings you out here? You were drawn from your trance by Joseph's voice all of a sudden. You were so out of it you hadn't heard him approach. You turned and looked up at him. He was standing a few paces away, his beer in one hand, your whiskey in the other. Mind if I join you? You nodded at the ground, letting him know where he could come sit. He walked over and lowered himself carefully to sit next to you, keeping the drinks steady. He held your whiskey out to you by his fingers, and you took it as he put it in your palm. Thanks. No problem. So like I said, what brings you out here? You absentmindedly scratched the side of your glass with a blunt claw as you thought of your answer. I just needed some air. And it was a little stuffy in that saloon, if you ask me. We did Bartholomew a favor breaking some windows. Air out the blaze. You giggled a little at that. He was good at making you feel better. How are you always so charming? Seems to come so easy to you. He looked a little bashful at that comment, scratching his head, unsure what to say. I don't know. I just picked it up over time, I guess. Helps get you out of fights and whatnot. Yeah, that makes sense. You feeling all right? Didn't say anything when you left. Sorry, I didn't want to bother you during your poker game. You thought about what you wanted to say, but so many things vied for your tongue. Everything swelling up inside you, chest fit to burst. You didn't know if you could admit how you were feeling to him. It almost felt too personal. It felt wrong. It felt harsh. I feel strange. That's the simplest way I can put it. He looked at you for a moment, eyebrow cocked, unimpressed. Lay it on me. Huh? Lay it on me. I want to know what you're thinking. I know you've got stuff in your mind you ain't telling me. You blew through your lips with a sigh, thinking about whether you should. He was right, after all. You don't have to hide how you feel anymore. If you were honest, you didn't want to keep hiding it. I'm scared, I guess. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm supposed to do next. Everyone here at the saloon was asking about plans, and I realized I don't have any. I didn't think that far ahead. Now we're here. I don't know what to do. I feel like an animal that's been let out of its cage and got lost in the wilderness. But what are you scared of? What's the worst that could happen? I don't know. That's why I'm scared. What if I do the wrong thing, make the wrong decision? What if I decide to settle down in clemency, like Sheriff said, and I don't like it? Where would I go? I've had so much of my life wasted running with Curly. I don't want to lose more of it to bad decisions. I've made too many of those. I don't want to waste my life either. We can make those choices together now, though. We can turn over a new leaf. I know we could, but I'm worried about you, too. I was talking with Jacob and Bartholomew, and I realized I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. You don't know me either. Joseph's face was sullen. He just stared into your eyes like he was trying to unpick some meaning from your expression. I've done horrible things, Joseph. So have I. I don't know that I like the person I've become after Curly. I don't trust myself. You did what you needed to stay alive. You don't have to like it. You were growing frustrated with his rebuttals, like he wasn't listening to you. You twisted your body around, one leg up, facing him head on. I love you, and I'm scared of hurting you. I'm scared that the man who could hurt Curly is the same man that could hurt you. I'm scared that if we really knew each other, we wouldn't be here in the first place. The wind whistled in your ears. Joseph's face was still, eyes squinted a little, contemplating your words. A few moments passed before he opened his beak to speak. I love you too, and I'm not scared of you. I want to find out who you are, and hope I have the courage to let you find out who I am. I'm scared as all hell, too. I know what you mean now that I'm free of the gang. I don't know what to do with myself. All I know is I want to be with you. Maybe we'll make bad choices, but who cares? You helped show me I don't have to live my life in fear, Robin. I think we're scared. It means we have our heads screwed on right. But it doesn't have to stop us from living. We can make whatever mistakes we want. We can stay in clemency forever. We can go traveling the country. I don't give a hoot. Tonight ain't the night to worry about the rest of your life. Whatever happens to us, if I can kiss your face at the end of the day, then everything will be all right. A great wave of relief washed over you as Joseph spoke. You didn't realize how much you needed to hear that from him. A kiss and a prayer. You laughed. Yeah, on a kiss and a prayer, we'll be just fine. Story of our lives, huh? He leaned in and pecked you on the cheek, bringing a blush of warmth to them that even the night breeze could not cool. Seems pretty good to me. Now come on, let's get back down there and have a good time. I think someone said they were going to dust off that old piano and play us all a tune. He made to stand up, but you reached out, placing your hand over his. Wait, it's all right if we just sit here a little longer. Then we can go down. It's a nice night is all. He smiled, eyes softly tilting to the sky, looking at the stars. Sure is. You want to stay here a spell? That's just fine by me. As he settled back down, he scooted over closer to you, shoulder to shoulder, and you tilted your head to rest on him. You slipped your hand into his, and he held yours tight, squeezing back between your fingers. The night may be cold, but he was all the warmth you need. You spent so long looking out for yourself, looking out for people who didn't care about you. Now you can look out for each other. The end. Wow. Credit roll, no way. Paranoid Hawk. Very good writing, Paranoid Hawk. Art and character design, Colin Coldago. Music, Jamie, Fake Gamer Comics. Sound effects, literally just free stuff. Amazing. Hey, it worked. It worked. Who cares if it's free? Our wonderful beta testers. Oh, Yeah, so this game was for like gay Western competition jam or something like that, gay Western jam or something, and I don't know if they won. All our love to our friends and family and partners who supported us and made it possible for us to make make this gay little game. You mean the world to us. Less than 3. Wow, big love. Big love. I don't know if they won, but I do know that it had so much support and fan appreciation that they made it a full game, which is what we just played. That's the end. Thank you for playing Lookouts. That's it. Oh, this has been a huge project for both of us, and we're super proud and happy we've been able to share it with you after so long. If you enjoyed the game, please leave a comment or rating on Itch.io, Twitter, whatever. We love hearing from people about their time with the game. If you'd like to support us so we can keep making games, you should check out the paid gold edition. It's only €5. £5? $6.50 on Itch.io. The gold edition comes with a bunch of stuff like the full soundtrack, loads of original art and doodles, wallpapers for desktops and mobile, and a development art book. Once again, thanks for playing from the bottom of our hearts. You can click the button that'll pop up in the next screen to restart the game. Love, Cole, and hockey. To the start. Okay, so I don't know if my choices mattered or if it just changed the scene. Maybe my ear wouldn't have been clipped. Maybe Joseph wouldn't have been shot. Maybe we kill them in a different way. I don't know. I'm not going to find out. If you want to find out if those choices mattered, go play the game. It's free from itch.io, which is crazy that games of this quality, art of this quality, is being made, and their heart and soul and their love and their time is being pushed into these products and these experiences that they just give for free. And all they ask is that you leave a comment. And if you really love it, spend $5. That's all. Itch.io is like a meme fest hole, but it's also a place with real heart, real stories told by people who... It's just real good, you know? I give this game... I don't really want to give it a rating, but I give it a definite, totally worth my time to play. I very much enjoyed it. Very endearing, too. Very endearing. And I hope that my, for lack of a better word, vocal performance was good and not cringe. And I appreciate you for being here if you were here live or for watching this on YouTube. If you would like to support the creator, then play the game yourself, experience the story, and maybe give him that $5. Anyway, I'm going to end now. I'm very tired. Who would have thought that reading for 2.5 hours straight would make your throat hurt? Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.